Welcome to the video tutorial of the logframe, the results framework for the project. The logframe must be used by pre-qualified applicants when making the Phase 2 application and by project coordinators of ongoing research projects when reporting on progress and results. In this video, we will guide you through the logframe format by briefly introducing you to the thoughts behind the logframe, show you how to fill it in, and explain the terms being used. Phase 2 applicants will get access to the logframe format in SurveyMonkey Apply in the task Project Details. You must open the Word document and you will find the logframe format ready to fill in as shown here. On page 1 in the Word document, it is only the box to the left that require information at this stage. The reporting part to the right is locked as this relates only to granted projects. The text in red is a guide to the content. On this page, you must enter the project title and project coordinator. You must also enter the objectives of the project. The project objectives are what the project aims at achieving and contributing to. It is the result of a research on a larger scale, beyond the immediate scope and time span of the project. On page 2 and the following pages, you fill in details concerning the work packages, outputs, and expected outcomes. You also fill in the output indicators, baseline, midterm milestones, and targets. Before going into further details about the content, it is important to mention that the logframe is meant to give a brief overview of the project objectives, work packages, outputs, and outcomes. This is why the text entered into the logframe should be to the point and brief, and the language used should be simple and concise. So what are the thoughts behind the logframe? The logframe, or results framework, is based on a logical approach which can be illustrated as a so-called results chain. The results chain explains how planned activities are expected to result in certain products and services, so-called outputs, which in turn are expected to contribute to creating immediate development effects, so-called outcomes. Though the logic of the result chain is based on causal linkages between the different stages, it is important to keep in mind that development is never a straightforward fixed process, where A leads to B, which leads to C. The change logic represents a qualified estimate of how certain actions are likely to lead to the desired change as a result of the research. You can explain the uncertainty of the change logic by making a distinction between the things you expect to control, namely the activities and the outputs, and what you're likely to influence, namely the outcome and the more long-term impact of your intervention. Now I will explain the different terms in the logframe format. Please note that this information will also be available within the application form and on our website. Outputs are produced as a direct result of activities. Outputs are the tangible products, services, actions, etc. that are within the sphere of control of a research project. An output could be that research have been disseminated or published, that evidence-informed discussions have been facilitated, or research skills and competences have been built through PhD and/or master students. You should try to make the outputs as specific as possible, but it is the output indicator that specifies how the output is verified, and the milestone and the target that defines in detail what is to be achieved. The output indicator describes the parameters on which the output will be measured. Thus, the output indicator tells you what you are to measure, not what is to be achieved. Output indicators are linked to an output. Parameter measurements could be, for example, a number of journal articles published, number of conference publications presented, or number of PhD and/or master degrees. Baseline describes the status before activities begin in order to be able to compare progress at a later stage. The baseline could be that certain research data is unavailable, that limited academic capacity exists in the field, or lack of international exposure in the research area. The milestone functions as an early warning system, indicating how your project is expected to progress towards the delivery of outputs by midterm of the project. The midterm milestone could be that an article has been completed and under peer review, that 2 out of 4 stakeholder consultations have been completed, 1 of 3 policy briefs prepared, or similar. The targets are the specific and measurable signs of having achieved the outputs by the end of a research project. The target could be a specified number of peer-reviewed articles, a specified number of PhD defended, or policy briefs shared with a specified public authority. Outcomes are what the project is expected to contribute to as the result of the project outputs. Outcomes cannot be fully controlled by the project, but are also be driven by other factors, such as policy changes and/or practices of stakeholders or users of project outputs. An outcome could be changes to a policy or practice, changes in understanding or behavior of target individuals or organizations, or increased research capacity. As research projects cannot fully control the outcomes, indicators of outcomes may refer to the access to research results provided to users of the results, policy and practice, or of the engagement that have happened. We have prepared an example to illustrate the content of a log frame as shown here. This example will also be available in SurveyMonkey Apply as a part of the log frame guidance. Lastly, a few words on the reporting. The progress or result achieved at the time of reporting must be entered as well as the indicator for result and means of verification. The status at the time of reporting must be entered for outputs and outcomes, but it is also possible to make comments to the particular work package during reporting. It is important to mention here that status should also be entered for outputs not yet initiated or finalized. It could, for example, be no progress yet will be initiated during second year of the project. In other words, no field should be left empty. Possible changes should also be described. At project completion, it is important to also report on the objectives. This concludes the introduction to the log frame, the results framework for the project. We hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please contact us at research@dfcenter.dk. Thank you.